Hey everyone, I was hoping to get this message put together sooner, but things like this unfortunately take time to set up. I just want to say that the acts of war against Ukraine break my heart, and I know as a prior service member myself that my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's fighting the fight that they really shouldn't have to. That being said, we have been working behind the scenes with all of our podcasts and podcast partners to put a fund together in order to pay for any refugee housing and other needs that go alongside that, like food, water, and any clothing needs. Internally, many podcasts in the Hospitality FM network have voluntarily given up sponsorship money in order to donate to the cause and are working on a unified message in order to spread throughout all of our podcasts. So this is me calling out to all of our property manager friends, industry experts, and anyone knowing of those providing lodging for Ukrainian refugees seeking safety. You can contact me directly at will with one L, W-I-L, at slicktalkmedia.com. We have an internal document that is being updated in real time. So if anyone could share this message within your network, we'd greatly appreciate it. I'm also placing in the show notes a link to our GoFundMe and landing page for Rentals to Rescue. That's rentalstorescue.com, where we're putting funds together in order to, again, provide finances for any of these lodging and relocation needs. So thank you so much for tuning into this quick message. I hope you guys are all well and safe, as I know we have tons of listeners in Ukraine and other countries in Europe. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Feeling good.
New week. Yay.
How was the weekend, Michael?
That was great, actually. It was really nice. I spent some good family time, finding nice weather in here, so you might see some small tents. So it was really good.
Did you say you stayed in a vacation rental?
Yeah, I came back actually for the recording. It's like a half hour away from here, and I'm just driving back after the recording.
Nice.
Is it a castle?
No, I'm not so from the castle. I know the Golden is. It's like kind of close to a lake, so it's quite nice. It's a bit in the south from here.
Are you fluent in Polish?
If I speak Polish?
Yeah.
No. I can order beer, wine, and thank you and goodbye, and that's pretty. And I know, well, if they're saying words, it's okay. I get some words, but the grammar is so difficult. I don't even start. And if I just try to, they probably think I'm just saying something completely differently. So try to avoid it.
Fair enough.
Sweet. Well,
Hoodie Monday. I like it.
I know. I was gonna say. Can't wait until we all have some GMH.
I think it's Piontek. I think Monday Piontek. I think I could be completely incorrect, but I think Piontek.
I have no idea.
Hey, you see my skills in here. So people listening to this podcast are even now learning Polish. So imagine.
Yeah.
For our Polish listeners and our watchers. So.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I'm just gonna sit here. No, that's funny. Sweet. Well, we have a fun topic today for all our audio listeners. We're gonna do a what's with the noise and then jump right in to the topic, which is niche booking sites, niche anything. Specialization I think is a good roll into that. Mr. Golden is a big fan.
That's a future topic. We'll save that for another day.
Dang it. Okay. So close. But no, it's good stuff. And I think it's a good fit for the recovery overall in general for travel and tourism, hospitality, you name it. So let's jump right in with Grandma and then we'll go into the topic.
So every Saturday morning, I take my boy for donuts, and this morning he wakes up just screaming, "Donuts, donuts!" But thanks, Grandma, for rubbing that in our face. So last week, Google came out with some pretty great news for travel in general, but they are allowing flexible in the office hybrid kind of work from home work week, but also they are allowing any time throughout the year 4 weeks of work from anywhere. So now not only do you have your vacation, but if you want to spend a month in France every year or in the Bahamas or wherever you want to go, the ability through Google to work from anywhere is a great thing, which means great for travel, super interesting for the whole flexible rental trend that we've talked about a lot on this show. But all in all, once Google starts setting a standard, I think we'll probably start to see that trickle into other companies and other industries. So big win in the long run for us in the travel space, whether it's hotels or vacation rentals. More people having more flexibility of where they work means more people on the road and spending more time in destinations, which ultimately I think is good for everybody. You learn a lot by travel, and I forget who made the quote, but if you only stay in one spot, you only read one page of the book. So get out there and explore.
I love that.
Wow.
If you only
So now we have a weekly quote of Michael, or should we?
You want to? I can come up with some.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Put some pressure on it. Grandma will be happy.
I was going to say, speaking of rent responsibly from our little pre-chat, Dave Kraus always coming in with quotes at every engagement that he's on too. So it's kind of a fitting.
Bad.
Well, it wasn't the Skift article, by the way, Michael.
No, it was not. We are
because you don't have a subscription, right? Maybe that's the
we're
issue.
Not sponsored, so we're gonna have to, I guess, explore other publications.
Yeah, we've reached out to Skift and no response. So Good Morning Hospitality remains solo on the sponsorship with news articles. But hey, we're okay with that. We can find. We're very resourceful.
We're still open to it. We're still open to it.
Yeah.
But in the case of Google, it means you have to work from their office in a different location, or you can just work from the beach chair on the Bahamas.
Work from the beach chair in the Bahamas. You can work from anywhere. I mean, they're already working from anywhere now, right? So what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, I went to the office. One of my last travel was last year in Feb to Silicon Valley, and I visited their office. But if you see their office, it was old shit, if I can really summarize it in 2 words. Well, it wasn't so nice. And then 2 hours later, I was in the Apple office. You can't compare. So I can imagine that there are people in their offices. And they have cool offices, right? It's going to be pretty cool sometimes inside. They had a pretty cool one here in Krakow. But I remember the one in Silicon Valley was bad.
I think it's a really good thing. You Europeans are spoiled by how much time off you get. But for us Americans, it's hard to even turn off when you're on vacation.
Yeah.
This is basically a way to go on vacation. You still have to work, but at least you don't have to do it from the office. So go still use your save your PTO for some other time. But
I was talking to a friend who's like, only in America do you work all year long for your 2 weeks off, and you're nonstop going, and then on your 2 weeks off of vacation, you're out on the beach, and it's a dude out in his bathing suit. And he's like, all right, I'll be in the water 1 second. I just got to make sure everything's okay at work. I just got to check my emails real quick. And it's like, you work so hard for the 2 weeks off, and then on your 2 weeks, you're constantly thinking about it. So.
I only see pictures of you on your Instagram having holidays, staying in hotels. So I think your holiday is your life is one big holiday, or not?
That's why we chose to be in the travel space.
Exactly. I may look like I'm on holiday to everybody else, but everyone in the industry knows that we're working actually, and
And you're inviting yourself for inspections, right? To have a free stay, or not?
Yeah.
Good.
No, it's been cool not every time, but there's been a couple of times I stayed at a hotel and there's a welcome sign. It's like, welcome Slick Talk. And you're like, oh, whoa, I'm famous. Someone at the hotel listens. So cool. But no,
you're influential. You're in the top 50, right?
What information are you submitting when you're booking these places?
Will Slickers, and then my address and my zip code. And
Media, multimedia giant.
Oh, by the way, I'm the top 50 most influential people in the US in hospitality.
Top 20 in the
So-
vacation rental space.
Yes, top number one or number one podcaster and host of Good Morning Hospitality. I think that's the one who is kicking this one, and it's like, stay here as long as you want.
You've got a bright future, Will. A bright future. Things are like right around the corner for you. I feel it.
And so young, he's just there. It's just amazing. It's like well, it's an honor to know you.
You guys are making me blush. For anybody listening, I'm completely red right now, and don't know how to. I don't know how to handle compliments from guys on camera. So,
Yeah, good energy on Monday morning.
definitely. Well, I'm curious to try to say for the topic of the day, we're talking about niche. So niche, and I guess this hybrid thing that we've been talking about is different than what we've been framing it, because hybrid was like no one, like we were talking about, no one's going back to the offices at all. But now Google's kind of announcing like 20% of the people are going to be going to the office, maybe 2 days, 3 days a week, that type of flex model. And there's also niche booking sites such as I think it's Hip Camp, where it's like a glamping travel. There you have Yonder, you have a couple other like specific niche ones. A famous one that we know, Mr. Golden, Flarbo, Florida vacation rental by owner out in Florida. So like there's different specific niche sites. And I wanted to get your guys' opinions on the power of niche sites, whether they are part of the recovery, or is most recovery going to be from these main channels such as Airbnb, Vrbo, Expedia, Booking, you name it. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on it. So I'll let you guys go at it.
Well, before the expert in the niche rental sites jumps in, I think actually, you know what? I'm going to let Michael go. I'm going to save my thoughts and opinions until after he speaks.
Okay.
A wise man once
you
said.
should do it all the time. No, but it's interesting. No, but before Bidroom, I had a travel agency, and actually it's interesting because we had actually the same trip. It was packaging, flight, hotel transfers, and optional tours. And actually, we were selling the same trip actually for the same price, same hotel. Everything was the same flight, but on two websites. One we had a general brand, travel service, and the other one was a niche brand, focusing on destinations. The conversion on the niche brand was 10 times higher. The acquisition cost was much lower. So I think still people see if you're a specialist in a specific area, it gives trust, and for sure, if you're looking at conversion, it will help a lot. You see, of course, the big brands, the Airbnbs of this world, of course, they have the power. The other end, I think you can see will be a trend as well. When I think you have a strong niche, and when you're good in your niche, I think still you have existence and you can be still strong. And you see that major, like the niche markets, often they really know what they're talking about. But this is also, people are willing to pay sometimes a premium as well, to pay a bit more for expertise and service. So if they go to a niche player, I think for sure there's a market for it, and I think it will not be waved away from the Airbnbs.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely a strategy and a play for niche sites. Glamping is a perfect example, right? A site that just focuses on castles, so you don't have to like sort through everything on Booking.com or Vrbo or Airbnb.
For sure, your favorite website, do you? Is it?
We'll see. We'll look back on this 10 years from now when I'm living in a castle, shopping castles to people. But at the same time, like, HomeAway was the king of acquiring niche sites, right?
Yeah.
HomeAway bought like 13 brands and ended up building one of the big three OTAs, right? So there are pros and cons, in my opinion. You know, the TAM is more niche you go, the lower the TAM is. But I know some folks, probably the smartest guy in the space, in my mind, is a guy named Dave Van Gotti. Shout out Dave. You're probably not listening, but we'll tag you in this so you'll listen next time. But he is the king of niche local sites. So he runs SmokyMountains.com, which started out basically as a tourism site where he built a ton of content. They started adding cool things like the leaf changing calendars, so people would know when to time the best trip to the Smoky Mountains during the fall when all the leaves were changing. And that gets picked up in publications like USA Today every year. And the amount of direct traffic he drives is absolutely insane. I'm sure at a CAC way lower than the OTAs do for his site. So there's definitely a place for it, but you have to be a pro at it. You can't just go and buy, some URL that's nice and expect it works. It's very, very methodical. And you have to continuously reinvest into it from an SEO standpoint, from a content standpoint. But yeah, I'd say it's a hard game to play, but when played right, it can be very lucrative.
Well, in the beginning, we quite early, we get an investment offer from venture capital fund. It's okay, what we would like you to do is including flights and tourist activities, everything, and make it. This is not the right timing. We're not even good, to be honest, in hotels. We have a long way to go there still. So why we should already go, first of all, to the space, and I think we should not even go into the space because it's a complete different space. So sometimes it looks interesting because it looks like a bigger market, which you can aim, but also just know that the lake you're fishing in is much bigger, right? So yes, and it's also much harder to catch a fish if there's much more people try to catch the fish. So it's also, it sounds nice at least. But yeah, it is, if you go to a large, like everything in general, what you want to offer, like the majority of the travel or like don't want to spoken on a niche, it's going to be the lake you're fishing is much bigger, right? It's going to be challenging to compete with others. If you're strong in a niche, you have your knowledge, you have your service, you have your expertise. You also know probably how to target your customers better, right? If you just know you're focusing on castles, a specific group of people, it's old people probably who want to stay in castles plus Michael. That's pretty all you have to target. Cool people like me and Will, probably not the audience you want to target. So there will be some differences there in targeting people. So when you have a brand which is including castles, cool properties, modern design, everything, you just have to target a much bigger audience, what's going to be more challenging.
Well, I was going to say too, I think when you start out with a niche, like you specifically aim for this, like let's say glamping, I'd like using them as an example because I think it's a underestimated segment, but that's super niche. You start in this route, and then as you specialize in, let's say you take 5 years, and you really own that and become the master in glamping or the master in whatever, that gives the opportunity for you, like versus early on, like let's say a year into it, you're like, oh, we're going to go into now castles and this and this and that. You haven't really honed in your specific niche, so it's kind of damage that fact. But if you spend 5 years, own glamping, and then say, we're the masters in glamping, nobody else does glamping niche sites the way we do, and it's proven, it's everyone knows when they think of glamping, they think of X, Y, and Z company. That company, then when they expand into other areas like castles or whatever, become like it will take off better than if they just did it like a year down the road of starting their journey. So I think niche is really powered by the longevity of how long you master that skill compared to being like the jack of all trades and master of none, which is kind of like the saying where you own a bunch of stuff and you can do general, but you can't really hone into one area specific.
I think it's also related to, like, if you're looking at, well, what is your aim often for a startup or for a company is a potential exit, right? And if there's more players in your area and you're the strongest or one of the strongest or biggest competitor in glamping, for example, it makes it super interesting, of course, for acquisition. So you see the most acquisition is always done, mostly done in specific niche players because they're creating some added value or specific kind of added value for the company they would like to have. So I think also when you're building a business, you have still overall, and there's like there's not a lot of overlap in what you're looking for. And of course, driving away the interest in potential acquisition. So I think you'll see what we also see, the consolidation. If you're strong in one part, for example, and if there will be players who are doing noise detection, they do channel management, they do whatever, it's much likely interesting to be acquired. If there's one player in the field who is doing competition for noiseware, for example, okay, they're becoming quite big in this niche. Okay, we might acquire them or merge them or whatever with construction. So I think also when you're looking at business perspective, it makes much more sense often to build a niche. Also, for if your goal is a potential exit or sale of the company.
Yeah, definitely. I want to kind of like bring up a conversation I had yesterday, actually. Well, not yesterday, Friday of last week. But so we've talked about Muse a couple times, right, on the show. And Richard, one of the founders from Muse, was talking about talking about how hospitality or hotels kind of messed up. And I'm going to bring this back into niche versus non-niche in the sense of how we think about space. Because so this is what he said, that, hostels sell a bed. And then if you want a locker to store your stuff, you have to buy a locker. If you want a desk, you have to rent out the co-working. If you want, a private bathroom, you have to, there's all these 4 or 5 segments that you're adding on to the basic service. And then hotels, when you book a hotel room, you're getting a bed, a desk, and a bathroom. Most likely, those are the top 3. And then whatever services or accommodation extras you want to add on, you're just booking those. But you may not need them. You may just need the bed. You may just need the restroom. You may just need the desk. Who knows? But so selling space in a different way than, I guess, you think about just glamping or just castles. But now you think about the overall selling of space, the amount of meeting spaces in hotels that get wasted because you have to go through the whole sales process when really someone really just wanted to say, look, my team, we have a West Coast team. We're here. We just need somewhere to work for a couple hours. The co-working spaces aren't open or they're not available. But they can't get that space because of all this stuff. What do you guys think about the generalized space that is either used, non-used, sold, unsold?
Is it safe to say those are the least used rooms in most hotels?
I would say so. Yeah.
The worst use of space.
Yeah, the worst use of space. I can use 2 examples from my main hotel where I first started, where there's 60,000 square feet of event space. Yes, we were attached to a convention center, so we did get used quite often, actually. But the smaller meeting rooms, the boardroom, the breakout rooms,
never used.
Barely used, unless it was overflow from a big convention stuff.
Yeah, because if you're in town interviewing people, or you've got a meeting or something, it's much cooler to go meet at the best restaurant in town, or
I thought you were going to propose the bedroom or the hotel room. That's also a bit awkward, maybe. But let's meet in the hotel room. Or could be some cases. But
people did that. We had people that would rent out one of the penthouses and just use they would just use it, and they wouldn't even stay the night. They would just use it for the day, and then they would leave. And then we would
for vacation rental makes sense, but if you have the table, facilities, everything there, why not? I don't know how you can see hotels moving in this day use. I don't know how vacation rental move in this direction, but it does make sense, right?
Well, to answer your question, Will, I think the 2 best pioneers of space in the past decade have been WeWork and Airbnb.
Yeah.
The concept of, I've got a spare bedroom in my house and I live in New York or London and it's crazy expensive, or San Francisco in their case. How do I make money off of this space? I don't want a full-time roommate, but maybe for certain conventions, I can subsidize my rent. If I do it 1 weekend a month, it helps cover the cost of living in a 2-bedroom versus a studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then WeWork, it's total game changer for how people think about office space. You don't go into an office every day. If you're an entrepreneur, you're starting your business. You're on the road. You're doing meetings all over town. you don't need a full-time office when you're getting started. You do need somewhere to store some stuff and to call home and to maybe have your team stand-up meetings and things like that. But what those two companies did to kind of rethink space is awesome. And I at least keep coming back to this whole flexible rental movement, and that's going to be the future. Like that's the next WeWork, the next Airbnb is how does some of these multifamily buildings turn these properties into more than what they are today? How can they get the most out of the space? Because if I've lived with a consultant before, I might go a month without seeing the guy, right? Yeah. But how does he make money out of the vacancy that he has to pay for rent?
True. Well, have you guys heard of Peerspace at all? No. Well, it's another kind of like a day use.
They're sponsoring or?
Huh?
How much did they pay for this
They're
ad?
sponsor?
No.
How much did they pay?
No, I just heard a room with them I heard a room with them on Clubhouse, and I looked it up because it's kind of like dayuse.com or whatever, but it was created for creators like photographers, videographers, whatever, that could rent out a space for a couple hours. It's not an overnight thing, so it's not like Airbnb, it's not a hotel room, but it's more of like a co-working space can put their thing on there. It's kind of like an OTA for this kind of really small window, hourly books, maybe, or so type stuff. And I heard a lot of people in Airbnb or short-term rentals or even hotels in the Clubhouse room that were like, oh, is this something that you guys offer for these types of accommodations? And that conversation was really, really interesting because like I think right when I got into the industry at like 20 years old, so 6 years ago, when there's a day use, I think it was dayuse.com or one of these day use type booking platforms went on Shark Tank and they got declined. They didn't get a deal. They got zero funding. Sharks were like, nope, hotels are never going to do this type of whole thing. And now it's kind of becoming the conversation where hoteliers, short-term rental people, I see people that have tree houses and all this other stuff on there. And they're booking them out for photographers or for these, whatever type creative.
It's interesting, right? Because you see the YouTubers, they need cool locations, or the Instagrammers and everything. So it is, I never thought about it, but it's pretty interesting to make it really like indeed kind of a day use functionality, really focus on this audience.
Yeah. So and
that makes sense. Yeah, I like it a lot.
So it kind of makes me start questioning, okay, is this niche thing going to become not just for overnight stays, but is there going to be OTAs for day usage where it's going to be, again, taking up where space is not being used? Is this going to be the part where people start to realize that nightly rates are not the only thing to grow your business? Can you get an extra $100,000, $200,000 a year by doing this day use types or this space rental change?
But is there something in day use in the short-term rental industry? Because of course, I know the hotels, the day uses of stuff. But is there something in the vacation industry?
Well, yes and no. I know a lot of people that take bookings from people that say we're here for a music video, or we want to film a scene for a movie here, or we want to host a baby shower or a bride's whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it is also something what you want to connect, but I can't say the name, but one of our this guy on investors board members, he went out his house actually on Airbnb. I don't know if that's Airbnb, one of those platforms. And then he was looking at video of some rappers, Dutch rappers, so something you just don't want to listen to anyway. And then he saw his house in there. So actually they rent his house for 2 nights or 3 nights. And they just use it to record a video in there, in his jacuzzi and everything, like, look at me. So
yeah,
I don't know, something. So I think also you just would like to know, right, if it's going to be used for this and then instead of just for stay over. So
well, if they do, I would say, hey, you got to tag me in the video. You got to tag us and put our link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know in cities like LA and Miami that happens quite a bit, especially if you have some of the higher end homes. And in fact, the house I lived in Atlanta, they film a lot of movies and TV shows out of Atlanta. Our landlord asked us to be gone for the day, and she bought us like a rack or two of beers to disappear. And they filmed a commercial in our house. Like it was.
Well, I think this is not one of the conditions or in the terms and conditions of an Airbnb. It's okay, just if you want to film, record something in here for commercial purposes, you have to ask permission to the owner. There's something like this, or?
Good question. I know it happens frequently. Typically, they ask, like, but I can also assure you that they don't always ask. There's a genre of video that doesn't often get asked if they can film in your unit.
I don't get it. Can you explain, Michael? It's not really clear for me.
I know some people in certain markets have struggled with that too.
Still not clear.
Miami
especially.
Well, no, I think it's I still think this overall conversation.
That's another business model to go in this space, but okay, maybe it goes too far for Monday morning.
Yeah, for Monday morning, it's a little deep.
Friday afternoon chat.
No, I think this is something still to watch, like, because I know recovery is happening. We all see it. Michael and I Golden and I last week talked about, our travel experiences during this time and how it is returning. It's not quiet. The streets are not empty anymore. People are out. And as this, happens more and more, I think like the niche sites are already, I feel like we're thriving in the beginning, but I feel like it's going to become a unique, I think people are going to get creative. It's not going to be just nightly rates anymore. It's going to become more, how can we optimize? Huh?
Yeah, as soon as hospitality moves into an hourly rate, I don't know if that's the right direction for us.
Well, I'm not saying like hourly, but like if you think of you have a photo shoot for 4 hours and then you have another 3 hours before your guest checks in, the room's already clean. You just got to go wipe it down again, which costs little to no labor. Why not? Like, why? At least for me, my management company, I would do it. Be like, yeah, that's more, and we can probably go to the owner and be like, look, we get all day use revenue, where you get the nightly.
It blows my mind that a lot of hotels in major international hubs don't have like a 8-hour pass. Like if you have
the technology is a problem often. So they don't have the platform or their channel manager or whatever what they're using. It's just not ready for it. And I think that's the biggest challenge there, that they're just not able to facilitate those bookings.
Yeah. I mean, you have a 6-8 hour layover in Paris on your way to somewhere else. Like instead of sitting and trying to sleep on some awkward chair in the corner and protect your bags and all that, like pay $100.
Yotel's doing this, right? So you've got Yotel, they're doing this. So you can book for 3 hours a room or 7 hours, whatever. I use it a few times. Awesome. Works quite well.
Yeah. Well, they're onto something.
Yeah. Well, I did it at the airport in London.
But it has to be the airport hotels. Like that's
yeah.
And they charged me an arm and leg for 4 hours, but still it was.
They charge you a lot. Yeah. But you're tired. You just want to rest. You just want to sleep.
Exactly.
So you pay premium, pay as much as needed just to have this room.
Yeah. You want to shower, you want to sleep, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to watch for sure.
All right, fellas. Well, let's get the week going.
Yeah. Happy Monday, and we'll see you all next week.